But when we go to the Prophet, remember that sin, put it behind us, and go forward. This is how we are supposed to be with that blessed Prophet of ours. Resuming our theme from yesterday, and obviously I'll make it very short, we need to have confidence with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the level of confidence that our Imams had. There were two levels at which they addressed Allah and they understood Allah. The first was the intellectual level. If you look at dua such as dua iftitah, it actually defines Allah. What is Allah? The creator of all, the sustainer of all, the one who governs all, the one who is involved in every minute affair. Every single affair is related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or one who causes a seed to sprout. Or one who turns the direction of the winds. Or one who aids the aging person. Or one who cures the sick. Or one who breaks the back of the oppressive person. One in whose praise sing the lofty heavens, and the angels tremble in his awe, and the seas wave with momentous waves in the reception of his majesty. They introduce Allah in a most befitting way intellectually, that He is the sole owner, the sole agent, and in fact at times the sole existent being. However, you go to other du'as that are recited at intimate times, at times when there is no listener, and you look at the content of those du'as, and they are very different. Allahu Akbar. The shift is unbelievable. It is as if they are progressing in the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's look at some of the themes, or maybe one theme in Dua Abu Hamza Thumali, and from here we can maybe better explain our point. And we can understand what is this sin and all of these things that we talk about. In Dua Abu Hamza Thumali, he states to Allah, he says, "Oh Allah, I have sinned. And even as I ask forgiveness from you, I know I shall sin further. And I shall continue sinning." Now listen to this. Immediately turns to Allah and says, "But it was your fault." How can anybody have such an intimate connection with Allah and such confidence to point a finger at Allah? If I have sinned, and I have sinned continuously, and even now as I seek forgiveness, you know and I know I will sin. But then he says, but wait a minute. It was equally your fault. How is it your fault? He states, "Oh Allah, you constantly kept forgiving me. You encouraged me to sin. You constantly kept on covering my sins. Had you punished me, I would have stopped. Is this not what a child says to his mother? That, oh mother, I've done all of these things, but it's your fault as well. Why did you tolerate it?" Look at that level of intimacy that he has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That level of confidence that he has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At a point, this is what Allah is. And then he distinguishes sins. And from here, we can understand what is happening. He states, "Oh Allah, I have sinned. And I have sinned more. But oh Allah, I have sinned because I am weak, not because you're not worthy of obedience." And this is the great distinction that he makes. We sin, transgress because we are weak. But if a soul were to say to Allah, "Oh Allah, I don't care for your pleasure," then that is sin. That is the true sin. But otherwise the Imam says, I have sinned out of my weaknesses. The way we receive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala primarily is by actually letting ourselves go. When we come to Allah, we have come to that point, my God, which is the only point of truth. Imagine Allah, one or two things, and listen to these with very open hearts. We will know that we are wrong somewhere. Is there a pit of hell or not? There is. Does Allah say in the Quran, يَوْمَ تَرَوْنَهَا تَذْهَلُ كُلُّ مُرْضِعَةٍ أَمَّا أَرْضَعَتْ? Does he say that or not? That the day in which you see the last hour, every mother suckling her child, feeding her child, shall become mindless of her child, and the child shall fall from her arms. And every pregnant woman shall miscarry her child. And you shall see people drunkard. Nay, they shall not be drunkard. The severity of the day shall be such that they shall appear drunkard. Did he say this or not? Does he say this or not in his Quran? The fourth Imam says, "O Allah, had it not been anything but death, then even the remembrance of death would have made this life unbearable for me. Yet how may I complain, when that which is to come after death shall make death seem a pleasing place?" What we say to Allah here is, "Oh Allah, you know I'm weak. You know I will sin. There is a big fire at the end. There is this momentous day. Why did you create me in the first place? We have a God-given right to ask this. Why did you create me?" No merciful father would do something like this. No caring mother would want this for her children. Yet you are Allah, the mother of all mothers and the father of all fathers, the brother of all brothers and the friends of all friends, and the friend of all friends. How did you do this? At that point, immediately our inner selves will tell us that we have not understood. It cannot be this way. We have not understood it. When that comes, we need to free ourselves from within. And we need to approach Allah very simply, very, very innocently, and say to Allah, "Oh Allah, I have not understood. I can't make sense. I just can't. No matter how much I think, nothing makes sense." As a great poet says, that you directed us to you within mosques and churches and then hid yourself away. How are we supposed to comprehend you? How can anybody comprehend Allah? In any case, when we approach Allah, this ought to be the sentiment that, "Oh Allah, I know one thing for sure. From the core of my being, I know that you can't be anything but absolute goodness. I know from the depths of my soul that you have created me in a state of need, and that you are the one who completes this need." The beauty about this journey is that for the first time in our lives, we begin to arrive at that truth that is so obvious and yet is forgotten. That we say to Allah, "Oh Allah, it is only you and nothing but you." Every type of preconception within us needs to be removed. We need to remove it and start as clean slate. And Allah needs to build us. We need to have this beautiful confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now think about this. How Allah simplifies our existence. Once Allah comes, and these are my final words for today. This life is so complicated, it's so complex that it's not worth it. I gave this example somewhere, that at the dinner table, something happened. Somebody spoke to me in a rude fashion at breakfast. Somebody spoke to me in a rude fashion. Of course, I deserve respect because I'm the Molana. But that thing agitated me to an extent that I'm still carrying it within my soul. It has impacted 12 hours of my life. I went to the shrine of the Prophet, but that particular mood that was set in through that event and incident was governing the whole experience. My talk now is being prompted and directed by that sentiment. I ask myself, Such a small thing, such a small